Hello and welcome to Comp 3077 Online, our premier Excel course in the Kinlan School of Business here at Fanshawe College. I am your online professor, Mike Sloan, and I am just your online professor. It may be the case that I am not your actual professor for the course, but I'm going to provide a brief professor introduction that kind of touches upon the fact that all of us that teach this course have extensive experience using Microsoft Excel, and we are still using it on a day-to-day basis, and that is why we teach it. I'm actually the course master for this course here at Fanshawe College. I'm the course leader, so I help put the curriculum together and make sure that the stuff you're learning provides you guys with some strong value, so you get what you're paying for in this course, and you come out of it with some skills that you're going to use in the real world. So let's talk about the course. I'm going to start by talking about myself a little bit and how I ended up getting so hooked on this computer application. Excel is a wide-ranging application that can serve so many different purposes and create efficiencies in business that I think even AI still can't touch it. And there are things in Excel that are driven by AI now anyway, and some of the templates and the way we work things out in flash fill, for example, which we're going to do in the first case. It's got a little bit of AI going on there, but the application is very applicable to a wide-ranging style of businesses and different types of businesses. It's just, it comes up all the time. So marketing students, HR students, general business students, all of you from the different programs that are here in Comp 3077, welcome. And that includes students in our face-to-face sections as well that are using these videos as supplemental material to help them to the course, or they missed a class or something. But primarily, these online videos are geared to be the lectures for the online students who will also be getting an hour each week from their online professors to cover the rough spots and just make sure everybody's on the right track. So we're going to talk about who teaches this course first. That won't take too long. Then we're going to get into the course information, the anatomy, how the course is all set up, what you need to pay for to make the course work, and there is one resource you do need to get, and then the evaluations, which I know you guys are going to want to know when they occur, and they do occur every week in this course, but that shouldn't scare you. If you keep up with the course and you follow along with our guidance as professors on how to do well in this course, most of you will get A's in this course. You don't want to get in the habit of missing work, because it's not hard work to get in each week. And as long as you keep doing it, that means when you get to the two tests in week 6 and 14, you'll be in a really good position to do well on those. So let's jump right over. We won't go straight to FOL. I'm going to talk about my background a little bit, but not too long, because it's very unlikely that I happen to be the professor that's also your professor for this section of the course that you're in. I just happen to be the lucky guy that gets to be the voice in the videos because I am the course lead and I set up the course, so I'm getting you going on it here. But when you go into FOL, you'll just see one version of Comp 3077. You're seeing multiple in mine only because I'm the course lead. So keep in mind, as I'm doing an introduction like this, there's always going to be slight, slight differences between what you see in my video and what you may see on your screen, but you should see the same course image banner there. So that's the course you want to go into. So let's go into Comp 3077. I mentioned I'm going to do the quick professor sort of crash course intro, but I want to tell you where to go first. So when you go into your course, your professor, whoever that may be, will likely have left you with an initial news item that encourages you as a first step to go to the course information module where all the basics of the course are located that we're going to go through here. So you can click here or click the start button, and it will take you right to that. And when we get there, I do want to point out one quick thing that I meant to have it on the intro slide, but it's still very early in the video to talk about this, which is a good thing. So you'll see a link in the course information module to virtual lectures in the YouTube classroom, YouTube virtual classroom. This is also linked from all of your weekly modules. So if you're in an online section, that's where these asynchronous static videos go as they're recorded. If you're in the very first semester, the very first intake of this version in late 2025, they'll be posted through the beginning of the semester. We should be done and have them all up by mid-semester. And after that, they'll all be pre-posted at the beginning of every term. This is not where your professor will meet you for 1 hour weekly. That is something different, and professors can choose to either use Zoom or Bongo, which is the built-in virtual classroom in here. It depends on how they want to deliver that and how it best works for you guys in your section. So I want to make sure you understand the difference between these two things. If I click on this, you'll see now I've recorded the first 2 videos, getting everybody going and set up in MindTap and getting them all up and running for the first quiz and case. And I'm just about to post this intro video, which will be directly above the video I'd like you to watch at the end of this introductory video, which is a really funny thing about Excel in 1990. It's kind of neat. This has taken a while. There we go. Finally, internet's a bit slow on campus today. So these videos are already posted. Just to give you an idea of what this will look like once it's complete, here is the previous playlist, which you should not, this would be helpful for you if I'm behind on the videos, but I won't be behind in the sense that you wouldn't be able to see the video before your deadline in the online section. And once you're through the first semester, they're all posted anyway. So this is the previous version that we did here. So if I go back. So I'm only showing you this for the sake of showing you what it will look like once it's complete. So it'll have all these videos all the way weeks 1 through 14. And then you just work sequentially through the material, but you do still have to get your work submitted each week. If you want to work ahead a bit, that's okay. I think it's a little dangerous because sometimes if people go and they just crank out all 5 cases and work ahead, then they get to the test a month later and they've forgotten a lot of the stuff. It's better to work weekly in sequence with the material. And that, I guess, would be an advantage of the fact that I'm posting these other video lectures in the current playlist, the updated playlist. So you do not want to go to that playlist. I'm not linking you to that playlist. I was just showing you that as an example. This is our new playlist as of fall 2025, and this should be solid for 3 to 4 years, actually. This material will be up to date. And the video I'm recording right now will soon appear right above this one, and then they'll just keep appearing through the earlier part of the semester until everything is complete. So make sure that you understand that this is where you go to see these videos, and it's linked here in FOL content under the course information module, and then it's relinked under every other weekly module. It always says just visit the virtual classroom, visit the virtual classroom. This is not where your professor will post their 1 hour weekly meetings with you to make sure they cover any rough spots. You want to get them to help you resubmit and get 100, that kind of stuff. That will likely be put into news and also be added to the calendar, but that's not what this is. And these videos are in the calendar because they're asynchronous. They're pre-recorded. You go and watch them and get them done on your own time, and then you refer back to the calendar and have your work submitted by the end of that week as per the weekly deadline, which in most cases, unless your professor does something slightly different, will be Sunday at the end of the week when it's delivered. So I wanted to point that out to you really quick before I got into my very brief professor intro, and then we will do the rest of the course content, and then we're on to the next video to get you set up in MindTap. So let's get into the professor information. So I'm going to give you like a really brief sort of 5-minute crash course on who Mike Sloan is, because you will have to put up with me talking with you and guiding you through the work in this course for the whole semester if you're in an online section. So this is me. You can give that bio a quick read in case it's not the bio you have in your course because you have a different professor, all of the professors that teach this course are experts in Excel and do a really good job of showing you how applicable it is in the real world. Me, I was first introduced to Excel at Michigan State in university. I'd never used a spreadsheet program before. I didn't know what it was, and I was very quickly drawn to it because at that point I was already playing in this band I was in, and we were constantly keeping track of our merchandise sales at shows, and we were doing it in like a Word file. We were just typing this stuff out. There was no way to organize or sort anything, and Excel turned out to be a beautiful solution for that. So I was drawn to it right away, and I had a course at Michigan State that basically introduced us to a higher level of all the Microsoft Office applications. And Excel was definitely my favorite, and I was hooked. And After leaving Michigan State, I was in a sales position. I would use Excel to make sales. I would literally A and B, like what they would spend with our competitor and what they would spend with us. And I would use these worksheets and get sales from that using Microsoft Excel. I then went on to run my own business. I used Excel on a daily basis, keeping track of our merchandise sales in the store. We had stuff going on both sides of the border because I had friends here in Canada. I'm actually from the States. Originally, I went back to school here to get my Bachelor of Education here at Western in London, and I just never went home. I love this country. I love the U.S. too. I mean, I was born there, but I'm now a dual citizen, and I'm married to an amazing Canadian woman from Zurich, Ontario. We live in Grand Bend. I have 3 beautiful children and 4 dogs at the time of recording this video. Don't ask. And that's me in a nutshell. But starting at Fanshawe, after using Excel extensively at Michigan State in the band as a sales manager, and then again running my own business, it was the very first course here I taught in 2001, and I'm still doing it today. And this will be like the 7th version of it I've helped create. And we just keep upgrading as Excel keeps upgrading and getting better and better. But a lot of it is the same as it used to be at the very beginning, which is one of the things I'm going to show you in the course introduction and leave you with at the end. So this shouldn't be too long of a video. The intro to Excel video with the case will be a pretty long one in week 1. It's longer than most of the case videos you'll have, so I'll try and keep this brief. But that's me in a nutshell. Since I started working at Fanshawe, the band kind of fizzled out after the first few years at the college. And then I bought a couple student rentals, and I got kind of into real estate. So I actually became a realtor and started doing that on the side. Fanshawe is definitely still my first priority and first love, and I love to teach. But being a realtor, I always say it makes me a better teacher because I'm still in another discipline faced with challenges and problems that need solutions and stuff on a regular basis. And I'm not as busy as I would be in real estate as I would be at Fanshawe during the regular semesters. But I use Excel constantly in real estate to do comparative market analyses where we're taking a bunch of properties and putting them together and figuring out where a particular property might be on price and stuff like that. And this is perfect for Excel. It's just the perfect venue. And of course, I still use Excel at Fanshawe all the time. I use an if function, which you're going to learn in week 3, to calculate your quiz marks from the learning platform that you're going to use to make them all automatically 100 as long as they were over a 70, because it's a pass-fail evaluation. Anyway, that's me. I'm sure I left that on the screen long enough for you to get to know a little bit about me. The rest of the professors that teach this course have just wide-ranging experience with Excel. We have a doctorate. We have someone who is using Excel for years, managing different businesses. We have another realtor that teaches the course who uses Excel for the same things I do, like constantly. So lots of great professors, all of whom are experts in the application, and that's who teaches you this course. I just happen to be the one who's doing the voiceovers in all these videos. That's because I'm still on Windows 10, which I may be upgrading at some point as I'm doing these videos throughout the semester. I'm really attached to my college laptop that I have from years ago because I was allowed to install programs on here like the one I'm using right now to do this screen recording, and these new machines, I don't know, Fanshawe is very, very good about keeping their hardware clean and keeping everything working at a very high level. So that's why they try and prevent us from installing all kinds of random stuff on our machines. But for right now, I'm trying to do the next video version of this course, so I'm still on my old laptop, but that's why those beeps might come up once in a while. In addition to my love for teaching and hanging out with my family and my dogs, I also love water sports. That was the retail store I started with a friend of mine in Canada. We were working both sides of the border, and we had water sports store. I'm a big-time windsurfer, kite surfer, wakeboarder. But in my 40s, I started really getting attached to surfing. And in addition to dragging my family around the U.S., finally this spring to start to see things like the Grand Canyon and stuff, I snuck in a quick surf trip, and it was just quite something else. And I always show my students this, and I want you to know this about all your professors. We're here because of our life experiences, and we still do have regular lives outside of school, just like you guys do. And, some days we might come in and be a little off. Some days we come in and we're totally nailing it. But we're regular people just like you guys, and we were in the same position as you not too long ago. In fact, I earned a master's in digital marketing at the University of Waterloo less than 10 years ago with a bunch of profs from Fanshawe. It was quite interesting going back into the student position. I know it's a lot of work, and I know you guys, you get a lot of work at times that at one time, and it's all coming at you at once. And that's why in a course like this, where we have a very routine way of submitting our work each week, you just don't want to get behind, and it's gonna do you really well if you can keep up with that. So that's a little bit of me. There, we went to Ohio. That was one of our stops on this trip, which was crazy. It looked like BC. It was nuts, some of the stuff we saw there. Those are my 3 kids. It was the most recent picture I could find, because most of the sunset pictures I have are from when they're pretty old. And Stevie, that's my daughter there. She just started high school 3 days ago. I don't even know how that happened. That's my wife and my youngest there. So yeah, and all of us professors have the same kind of story. And we're all here to give you value from a course that will teach you things that are going to come up in your professional career as soon as you leave the school. In fact, you're going to keep having to use Excel in later courses that you take at Fanshawe. I mean, it's going to keep coming up. Now, we're on to the course overview. So I went right into the course homepage, and I got over to course overview. And you're going to want to go through this stuff. I'm not going to go through everything that's in here in the video. I'm going to open up each of the items, point out some spots of emphasis, and then let you go through it. So professor info, we've already gone over. Each of your respective professors, if you're taking this online course, should have their own bios in there. And they will still meet with you at least 1 hour a week to cover the rough spots and just make sure you're in the right place. But you'll use these pre-recorded videos that I'm going to build up into the virtual classroom for this first semester, this first iteration of the new version of the course. And then they'll be there for everyone who takes the course after as soon as they start. I should have them done by about halfway through for those of you guys that are seeing these for the first time at the end of 25. But the course information will stay the same until the next version of the course, and we've just updated it now. So the course overview will give you the course description, which basically is reiterating some of the things I've already talked about. It does address items like the MOS program, which is Microsoft's sort of specialist training program that a lot of the curriculum in these books are designed around that. But I do want to explain that you're not MOS certified by having taken this course in Excel, because we don't mix that kind of stuff, those certifications, with the full-time program. But you will be MOS trained. And there are links in the week 1 content that you'll see in the week 1 video where we start to introduce Excel in the 3rd video there, where you can check and see where the testing centers are in your area. There are the course learning outcomes. So scrolling down a bit here, you'll see the breakdown of how the value from your final mark is distributed from the various types of evaluations we have. Assignments are 44%, with quizzes, they're 11%, and then the 2 tests. And if you scroll down a little bit further here, that's something I'm going to encourage you guys to watch at the end of the video. It's really neat to see the way technology's evolved over the last 30 to 40 years, how a computer application like Excel, a lot of the stuff in this video from 1990, we still do it the same exact way today in Excel, because these are requirements of business that just haven't changed. Yes, it's gotten easier to use. It's gotten more streamlined. It's more technologically efficient and powerful, but a lot of that stuff is exactly the way it was in the 90s. But down here, so there's something really cool in this class I want to point out, and this 44% is 33% casework and 11% quizzes, those quizzes from up here. The reason the assignments are worth 44% is because there's also an 11% custom project that you do in week 13. But weeks 1 through 5 and 7 through 12, you're doing weekly work in this platform called SAM. You also have a quiz on FOL in week 1. That's the only week where we do a quiz on FOL. And everything else is in SAM via this learning platform called MindTap, which is what you have to pay to get access to. And we'll talk about that a little bit, but there's a whole separate video on that, the second video for week 1 that gets you set up in MindTap. But this 44%, this is not like just a thing we say because we're trying to get you to come to class. We're trying to get you to watch all these videos. We literally give you the answers to 44% of your marks. So the way that's done is the 33% of cases that's part of this 44%. There is a video every week and a lecture in the face-to-face classes where we as the professors demonstrate every single step on each case and then submit the file at the end. That's how the 3% cases work that add up to 33% of your mark. You get a file, you get an instruction set with the file, you make a bunch of changes to the file, and then you submit it for a mark, and it marks it immediately. And because we showed you in the video and in our lectures how to do each step correctly and get 100%, we don't just make you accept the first mark. In the case you had a typo or made a couple mistakes, usually people's first submission will be at least a B. More commonly, it's an A. The report you get back within like seconds from the learning platform, it'll tell you exactly which ones you did wrong, and your professor will work with you to fix those mistakes and resubmit a second time for a better mark, which is usually 100%. Even if you're in the online section, that's what that extra hour is for each week. If you want to make use of having access to your professor live, who at that point wouldn't be me, it would be whatever professor is teaching the online section for you, they will likely have time set aside in those hour sessions each week, possibly a bit longer, where they'll help you through your mistakes and make sure that you get 100 on the case. So we're giving you the answers to that. And then the quizzes, which are the other 11% in that 40, sorry, I was scrolling up there a bit. The answers to those are provided in a training module that comes with the quiz and is right below it in your learning platform where all the assignments are listed. So it's quite a system we have set up. And for those of you in the online sections, I know there are face-to-face students that might be watching this too because you missed week 1, and that's fine. You should be doing that. Anytime you miss classes, if you're in a face-to-face section, you can use these videos to catch up. But for all my online students, who are the majority of students who are probably watching this, you want to keep up with these videos because we give you all the answers. We show you how to work the system in a way that helps you to learn the most and also ensures that you get the best marks. So you're getting value out of this course in terms of learning tools that you can use in the business world when you graduate, but you're also going to get a good mark just as a result of doing it. So yeah, so try and keep up with the stuff. It talks about the quizzes here too, and there's a pass-fail threshold there. With the grades that you earn on this SAM platform, which is what you get access through MindTap, those are the resources you're going to have, they don't automatically go to FOL. So some professors do it every week as soon as the class is over. Some do it every couple weeks. But as long as you submit it on time, you will get a grade in FOL. And then there's some stuff we're going to talk about in the week 1 video that you want to make sure that you're on top of your basic computing skills. Don't get behind on your work. Don't email us stuff. Okay, everything gets turned into SAM. If you have a problem with it and you can't figure it out, then that's when you email it and you specify which step you had a problem with and why you couldn't get working, and we'll help you with it. If you're late on a case, don't just send it to us via email. You should still turn it in. The cases aren't going to close after the deadline. You just may or may not get credit. If you give your professor notice that you might be a day or two late, they're probably going to be okay with that, but you got to provide us with notice. Okay, but we don't take away the cases after the deadline is passed because you're paying for these resources and you still want to be able to do them before the test. So I'm saying don't miss your weekly work, but even if you do miss it, you still want to do it. And if you're going to miss the deadline, you just got to talk to us. This is something to watch out for as well. And I do have iPads listed there in my other section. I have to update this text here. Chromebooks, iPads, Google Sheets using Microsoft in the cloud. This stuff doesn't work. And that's mentioned specifically right down here too. You need a Mac or PC, like a full-size computer or laptop with Microsoft Office downloaded and put on there. And then there's just some disclaimers on video content that once in a while some of the numbers might be updated, some things, but the videos will always show you exactly how to complete each step. So from this file, we're going to jump into the required resources, but we're not going to spend a ton of time on this because it is covered extensively in the next video where we show you how to set up MindTap. The one thing I want to make sure you guys all have, especially those of you in the online sections that are watching these videos, get Office 365 installed in your computer, okay? And don't use, an iPad or a Chromebook, none of these are going to work. You need Office 365 on a full computer. So if you go here, I'm just going to give you a couple tips. When you get to this screen, you're going to click on Office 365. If you don't already have this, if you've already done it and it's continued to put the updates in and whatnot, since you've installed it, that's fine. But if you don't have it installed, you're going to want to put this in there. You don't want Microsoft Excel 2012, 2016, even 2019. There have been a lot of updates since then. You want the latest version. So click here, and it'll walk you through these instructions. Basically, what you need to do is get logged into office.com, which is down here. It says to get to office.com, visit Microsoft to sign in. So if you click this to sign in, it will take you to office.com, and then you'll set up an account using your Fanshawe credentials. And once you get in there, immediately it takes you to this screen that shows you all these apps. And this is where a lot of students get they kind of go in the wrong direction at the beginning of the course, because they see all these apps and they're like, oh, sweet, everything's installed, I'm ready to go. And then for the first case, they log into office.com, and in their browser, they click on Excel and start working on the case in the cloud, in the browser version of MS Office. That's not what we want you working in, even though you could. No, I think even for the first case, it doesn't work anymore, because there are steps on that case now that are using tools that don't exist in the cloud version. And that's great that the cloud version is there, and it's good for a handheld device, it's good for a mobile device. But when you're working on robust Excel files in an office and you're doing stuff in the financial sector and stuff, you want the full version of Excel. So as soon as you get logged in, you then have to make sure you go to Install Office Apps. I don't know why the image here still shows Office 16. It's 2025 right now, but that's it's the right picture. That's just an IT thing. Just pretend that says Office 365. But you want to install Office Apps, and then it will prompt you to download this big zip, and then you get all the apps installed, and they're on your computer. And that's how you open up the files and do the casework, and you'll see how to do that in the next couple videos. Okay, so make sure you have that up and running. As far as the other resources go, you don't have to worry about that right now. We'll cover the paid resources in the next video. It is free for the first couple weeks. You don't have to pay for it right away. I want to point that out right now. And ignore this link. This may be different for you. Like these will be different in every course. So this is not necessarily the right link. You want to go to this place in your section, and that link will be there. I talk a lot about that in the next video. If you already have an account, you just literally log in and then use the activation key, like the course key that your professor will have provided you. So that's all covered in the next video. Don't worry too much about that. But if you scroll down here, again, there's a link to go download Office 365, get Acrobat Reader, you can get VLC Media Player. You can get that anywhere. It's free. It's the best media player. Windows Media Player should be on most of your Windows computers. I don't know if it's automatic now. And then QuickTime is another good one to have. I don't run into that as much anymore, but I like that the guy that helped us put these FOL courses together has all these suggestions there, because it's just easy, safe links that you know you can use. And we're going to keep cruising through the course information section. Now, next is really nice to have. So it's a course schedule and due date section. It's kind of like the course plan, but with a little bit more detail. And I'm going to show you here how we do this face-to-face interaction and online. You have to attend and engage in the course every week, even if you're online. And you got to get your work done. It's typically due by Sunday night every week. Almost every online section your professor is going to have it Sunday night is the main deadline. Some may change it depending on the semester, but usually it's going to be Sunday. I don't specifically put that in here. I'm just telling you now verbally in the video that's what it is. And each week is broken down. And over here on the side, you see exactly what you're doing for credit each week, including the 2 tests and the 11% custom project. So if we back out of here and go to the next module, which a lot of profs don't do this, but I like my students to really have different ways of seeing all the evaluations. There's also an evaluation quick list, as I call it, and it provides it in a nice bulleted list that's even more compact, which you have to do every week. Now, none of these list deadlines, because this is a class where all of the different sections, generally speaking, everything's due Sunday night. But if you're curious about when your professor has set your precise deadlines, then it talks about the work again. 55% of your weekly work, 11 SAM cases, that's 33%. Quizzes are 11%. Custom projects, 11%. Adds up to 55. Your tests are worth 45%. So given that I'm giving you the answers, every prof is going to deliver the same version of the course that I've set up as the course leader. So every course will have these same videos and the same training modules that go with all the quizzes, which give you the answers literally to 44% of your mark. You've almost passed the course just by going through the free work, as I call it, because I'm giving you, but by going through that work and doing it each week, all of a sudden you're learning it just by default, because students like to get marks and they like to get good marks. So usually they do it. And then they get to the test in week 6 and they're like, hey, I know this stuff. So the system works is what I'm telling you. Just try not to fall behind. And it's all described here. It's in like 4 different ways in these first 3 content items I brought up. It's telling you there's stuff due every week. And then if you go to the course homepage, for any of these classes in Excel, your professors should all have on day 1 everything in the calendar, right up to the end of the course in week 14, right? So if you go show more and you go to your December calendar, if you're in the fall semester, or it's going to be April if you're in the spring semester, it'll have all those dates in there right from the get-go. It always drove me nuts when I was at Michigan State. You wouldn't find out what was due and when it was due until like halfway through the semester, and then they'd be announcing things. And I like to have a list right at the beginning. So every Sunday you could see all your stuff is due. You could see when you have a test week, the test is identified on the test date. We have a break week there now. We've had that for a couple of years now at the college level, this fall break. And then in December, you have your custom project due there, and the final test is there. All the dates are in there. So they're going to vary from semester to semester. Please don't look at this in 2027 and think that's your date. You got to refer to your FOL calendar. I'm just showing you this as an example. So in addition to those lists, which you have twice in the course information module, with those content items, you have it here, course schedule and due dates, and you have it here, evaluation, quick list, and anatomy. You also have it in the course calendar. And if you go to the checklist, you have it there too. And the checklist also includes all the precise dates, as it should, since the beginning of the course, right? So you can see all the dates along the side here. Again, these are just the dates in this particular section that I'm showing you as an example. At the beginning of the fall 2025 semester, you would have to refer directly to the course that you're in. And then FOL grades, everything will be ready to go, and we'll be transferring the stuff as it's done in the MindTap platform, which we're covering in the next video. So that's the course in a nutshell. The main thing I wanted to cover here was that there are evaluations every week. Everything is here in FOL. But the site you'll be using to submit most of your work outside of I'll show you those 3 items right now in a minute, is this. login.cengage.com or account.cengage.com. This is all in your course information. That's where you're going to log in every week. This will be heavily covered in the next video. But there are only 3 things you do turn in FOL. The first would be the FOL quiz, which you'll do in week 1. And that's right here. And it's based on the week 1 readiness information in the week 1 content, which we'll go over in the first official lecture video, which covers the introduction to Excel and the completion of the case, the first case that you'll do here at this website. You will also have an opportunity to earn some extra credit under FOL submissions, which can be done by the end of week 2. Anybody who purchases the resources in a timely fashion, because you get them for free for the first 2 weeks, but then you don't. So if you don't have it purchased after the free period runs out, you can't do any of your work. And this, again, will all be covered extensively in the next video. But you can get extra credit simply by submitting a proof of purchase for that here in this submission box. And then finally, your custom project that's worth 11% of your mark, which is pretty substantial, that will be submitted to FOL as well in week 13. Everything else is done on this learning platform, which is extremely efficient and very student-friendly in the sense that you get your marks back immediately, and it tells you what you did wrong for the weekly cases so that you can sit down and fix it right there on the spot. You don't need to let it you don't get your grades back for a few days and then you don't remember to go back and fix it. It's all there. So that covers our full course introduction. I gave you a bit of professor introduction for me, so you do know what I'm all about. And then I talked about how most professors have similar backgrounds where they've had jobs and experiences in life where they've used Excel on a regular basis. And I gave you a little bit of extra info on me because you're going to have to listen to me talking now for 14 weeks. And we went over the course information, very structured. You have a case and a quiz every week, weeks 1 through 5 and weeks 7 through 12. Week 13, you have a custom project, and then you have tests in weeks 6 and 14. And it's all there on day one, telling you exactly when everything is going to happen. Additionally, we talked about the required resources. We didn't get too into the purchase of the MindTap platform, which you don't have to buy right away. Just go into the video, the second video, the one right after this one, get it all set up, and then you purchase it as soon as you can, and you can put the activation code in as you continue to log in whenever you end up purchasing it. But we did get into Office 365, and you need that on a full-blown computer, not on an iPad, not on a Chromebook. You need to be using a full computer. As soon as you're going to get to these steps on the cases, and you're going to say, hey, that tool's not there. It happened to me in the first week already. I had a student that couldn't find flash fill because the student was on an iPad. And they fixed it. They just put it over to the computer and then finished the steps that weren't there. But it does create some complications. And when you graduate here and you're working in the business world, you're going to be in an office setting with full computers anyway. So it is more realistic. Evaluations as well, we discussed when they happen, how many there are, where you can find the dates in all the different places. And it's all there at your fingertips in FOL. That's obviously your home base for everything you're going to do in this course. And then, of course, you're going to be set up in MindTap, which you'll be shown how to do in the very next video. Actually, the second to next video, because at the end here, I want you to watch that 1990 Excel commercial. I'm going to remind you about that at the very end. So you'll also be in MindTap and using SAM via MindTap to submit a bunch of your weekly work. And that's how the course works. So at the end here now, if I could so encourage you, I would love for you to go back to the main course overview page, or you can go to the virtual classroom, the static virtual classroom, again, not where your professor is going to be doing the weekly 1-hour meetings to go over the course. And this should be the second video on the list after I post this one I'm recording right now. And I'd like you to give that a quick watch. It's only 4 minutes. It's pretty neat to see it's just kind of a throwback. I'm guessing most of you were not born then. Most of you are probably born after 2000, but what's interesting about it is even back in 1990, the things they're talking about and them toting the efficiencies that Excel creates, it's still, the benefits are still the same today. It's so cool, except now it just works better and it's more efficient and it's, the text better and all that stuff. So give that a quick watch, and that's a perfect lead in to getting set up in MindTap and then doing the week 1 Excel intro plus the week 1 case. Next video will be the week 2 case demonstration. After that, you'll have 2 videos in week 2. Second video in week 2 will be dealing with how to complete the SAM quizzes. And then after that, unless there's additional information we really want you to take a look at, you'll have the 1 video per week dealing with the case demo for that week, because all the answers to the quizzes are going to be in the training starting in week 2. And there'll be a video for each test helping you to prepare for it. And then we'll have the full playlist. So thanks for watching. Go give the Introduction to Excel video from 1990 a nice enjoyable view right now. And then we'll see you in the MindTap video to get you all set up with your course resources.